Who do you say that Jesus is? This week, Jesus takes a poll. And polls are important this time of year. As you maybe, if you're paying attention, you're realizing that this past Tuesday and many Tuesdays before, in the summertime, in the spring, we've got primaries going on. The Democratic and Republican primaries where different politicians are vying for the one to represent their party in their state, whether it's Florida or Wisconsin or wherever. Well, this week in the gospel, Jesus himself takes a poll. They're in this region of like Lebanon, Syria, Caesarea Philippi, right? And there are a lot of altars to various gods, and so Jesus decides to ask the question, who do people say that I am? Now, there are lots of people who have answers to this because they're hearing about it. Well, some think that you're Elijah. Some think that you're John the Baptist. Some think that you're one of the prophets. But then Jesus says to them, who do you say that I am? Because it doesn't matter what everybody else says. What do you think? We're all by ourselves here in the Caesarea Philippi area. No one's going to hear what you have to say. What do you think? What's your opinion on the matter? And nobody has anything to say except for Peter. And what does Peter say? You're the Christ. You're the Messiah. You're the numero uno. You're the one we've been waiting for. Now, I find it very interesting because the other ones must have been kind of shocked at that because they didn't offer that before. And Peter just kind of blurts it out as he always does. And nobody disagrees with him. They keep it to themselves. Now, you can guarantee that Judas wasn't on board with this. Because at this point, Judas is like, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, sure, he's the Messiah. Judas is already plotting his way out. But Jesus asks these important questions. Because when we say and we really believe something about someone, then we're going to act in accordance with that decision, that statement. So like if I'm a Phillies fan and I say that I'm a Phillies fan, well, I'm going to wear Phillies gear. I'm going to wear hats. I'm going to wear jerseys. I'm going to go to the games. I'm going to root for them. That's going to be my actions that back up my belief that I'm a Phillies fan. So for Peter to say, you're the Son of God, you're the Messiah, well, there's a lot of baggage that comes with that. To say he's a prophet is simply, he's a prophet. It means that he's going to declare that this action's wrong and that you need to live your life a certain way. And, and that's important to hear the prophet, what the prophet has to say, because the prophet's from God, right? But when you say that this person's the Son of God, the Messiah, there's a whole lot that comes with that. Well, you better start living your life according to that statement. And, what do we see? Well, we don't see that so much right away. We don't see them acting like, they're following the Son of God until after the Pentecost. They still abandon him. They still run away from him. They still tuck tail and run. So, but it's important for you and I to realize that because it's how we're going to live our lives. Because if Jesus is the Son of God and love is the standard for us, well then, if we're not living a life of love, loving our neighbor, loving our God, by our behavior, by our choices, well, according to Jesus, the Messiah, well, we're going to be answerable to that. And so we should start acting according to that statement. But if you don't believe that, well, then you can just, roll the dice and take your chances and see how it all ends up one day. So, who do you say that Jesus is?